Hello, everybody. Scott, Comic Book Hangover. It's Thursday. It's time to talk about new comics. It's time to take a break from all the insanity that's going on in the world today. We had new comic books come out yesterday. It was an amazing selection of books from some of the greatest publishers that we have, whether you like them or whether you're not. They're putting out some great books. And at this point in time, I think it's a good idea to really start enjoying the books that we have because in all honesty, we don't know how much longer we're going to be getting books. When you think about Marvel being based in New York, and I think DC is based in California now, and those are two of the hardest hit states we've got from this thing that's going on that nobody wants to mention on YouTube. So I guess I'll play along with their silly little game, and I won't mention it either. But with all this going on, we should definitely, enjoy the books while we can, and let's talk about them as much as we possibly can. And when it does finally, and it probably will, I don't want to say finally, but when it probably does break down the lines of delivery for our local comic shops, then it's time to start digging into our back issues. I know a lot of my friends out there have a lot of back issues, and there's a lot of books that have been buried in our collections for years that have not seen the light of day since we bought them back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 90s, 80s, 70s, whatever. And if we start having a shortage of new books, it's time to start looking at the older books. So that said, let's look at some of the books I picked up this week, starting with the reprints. So I grabbed from DC. They put out Facsimile Edition, Brave and the Bold, number 28. This would be a reprint of the first appearance of the Justice League of America, as well as the first appearance of Starro the Conqueror. This is one of those covers, again, that I've always liked. I've always enjoyed looking at this cover, and it's always been one of those books that I would never be able to afford. So I'm really glad they're doing this reprint so I can actually have it. And this, along with the other reprints that I picked up and the ones that I have been picking up, Facsimile Editions and True Believers, may come in very handy once we reach a point where books are slowing to a trickle from our publishers, because then I can go back and start reading these facsimile editions finally. I like this one here. It's Justice League number 1. This is a $1 reprint from DC. Justice League number 1. First appearance of Maxwell Lord. Significance of that is Maxwell Lord apparently has been confirmed as the villain for the upcoming Wonder Woman 1984 movie. This was also one of those books that I've always heard so much about. I've always enjoyed this cover, and I've always been curious about it. So now I'm going to grab, I grabbed this one. I will be reading it, and if Keith Giffen is as good on this one as all the other stuff that I've read from him, I'm going to start grabbing this in trade. That is all I grabbed from DC. Marvel, real quick, we've got a couple of True Believers. Fantastic Four, number 257. One of my favorite covers, one of my favorite Fantastic Four covers, one of my favorite Galactus covers of all time right here. But this one is the issue where Galactus destroys the Skrull throne world, and the Skrull basically start their slow ride to insanity with this issue, with the loss of their homeworld. But I love that cover. Avengers, this reprints Avengers number 19. This is the first appearance of the Swordsman. This also has the first telling of the origin of Hawkeye. To me, one of the more useless characters in the Avengers, but in the comics he's alright. In the movies he's pretty useless. But another great cover. I think I have actually read this one because I do have quite a few of the Avengers Essentials books, and I know I've had to have read that one. Moving on, a one-shot this week, Legends of Log, another $1 book. Alterna Comics always has books that are cheaper than everything else because they do put their books on newsprint, which allows them to be on a little bit of a cheaper side, so you get more bang for the buck, so to speak. So this one here, this is actually, I believe, reprinting Log's appearances from it came out on the Wednesday anthology series that they put out. Some of these stories did seem familiar to me, but it's black and white. If this is one of those characters, one of those ideas, concepts that you're kind of curious about, it's only $1. This is one of those times where it's definitely a good idea to try something new, try something different. Even though it's a one-shot, and it's kind of a unique looking character. He's kind of a blockier Groot, but he's not as annoying as Groot is. He actually uses words instead of saying "I am Groot" all the time. And there's more of a mythology behind this character that they are more open about. I mean, all the history of Groot, they kind of put that aside for the comic timing of I am Groot all the time. But this was really good. I really enjoyed that one. Moving on to final issues. Invader Zim, number 50. Now this is a series that I am really behind on. I have not been reading this book. I've been picking them up faithfully, but I haven't been reading them. Now that the series is done, I can finally kick back and read them. I might even grab it from issue 1 and read the entire run over the course of a couple of weeks. But this is going to be one of those things that if we lose our books, I have some new comics that I still haven't been able to read yet. The other final issue for me anyway, Morbius the Living Vampire, issue 5. As of this issue, I'm going to drop this book. We're 5 issues in, and really nothing interesting is happening. We're still on the Morbius trying to cure himself of his vampirism, and of course people from his past misunderstanding what he was doing, blah blah blah. It's the same old, same old. There's really nothing interesting going here. The art is kind of a mess. I do like the covers, but as far as it goes, this issue here is officially my last issue. I'm going to be dropping that. I'm going to pull it off of my pull list through the Diamond online services that I have set up through my local comic shop. I'm going to be doing that today once I'm done with this video. So Morbius, done. No more. If a book doesn't go anywhere for a couple of months, what's the point in reading it, right? Just like I also figure if I am reading a book and it gets to the point where I can't remember what happened in the previous issue that came out a month ago, it's probably time to consider dropping that book. On the alternate comic side, and this is the opposite of the last issue, this is the first issue, Blood Realm. This is the 3rd volume, first issue of an amazing comic book series. The art on the inside is just as awesome as it is on the inside. The colors are very minimal. You basically have black, white, and red. And the story, it's very heavy in mythology and world building. I mean, this is, as I've said before, with the past issues of this series here, this is basically a really dark and foreboding version of Lord of the Rings. I didn't really care for Lord of the Rings, but I am really enjoying this. This is definitely one of my favorite books from Alternate Comics, and I'm really glad that the creative team on this one is continuing it, because there's a lot to be done in this world. It really, really is. This is also one of the ones that Alterna has put out in a giant size edition with either a $4.99 or a $5.99 cover price. You can get the first 3 issues collected and the second 3 issues collected, and it's definitely worth getting. It's some great stuff. I think they also put new covers on those, but I'm not sure. Also from Alternate Comics, it came out on the Wednesday, number 11. Actually, this one and Guns and Gears, number 3 of 4. These ones both came out today. There were some other alternate books that came out. It came out in case you missed it. I stopped getting those because they're just basically, they're 99-cent reprints. So if you see them and there's something that you're curious about, definitely pick them up. They're only 99 cents. They're great reprints of great books, but there's stuff that I've picked up recently. So I really don't see the point in picking them up if I already have them and have picked them up recently. So there's going to be some covers that some books that I will pick up for the covers rather. But other than that, I'm pretty much done with that series, and we'll be using the ones that I have probably to try to get other people into some of these great alternate stories. But these ones here I haven't read. I am holding on to these again just in case we lose our line of new books, so I have something to fall back on. There's a couple of other alternate books that I have been holding on to just in case. Moving on. So let's look at a couple of miniseries that I picked up. Let's get these ready to go. Here we go. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers. Flip that. Power Rangers Ninja Turtles number 4. I wound up getting the unlocked retailer variant because as much as I like the regular cover is amazing because it does have the Turtle Rangers right on it. That's a really awesome cover. But this one here, I don't know, for some reason, this one really jumped out to me. And I even had my fiance there. Sometimes she'll help me decide which covers I should get. So between this one and the regular cover, she also liked this one. So it's definitely the way to go for me. So it's a great cover. I mean, I really, really like how this is set up. I mean, just the whole idea of it. It's just really fun. But the story itself, it's just you're continuing. You finally get the Power Turtles, or the Turtle Rangers, and the Ninja Rangers going off and doing their own separate things. The bonus, though, is the Turtle Rangers' reaction when they finally get to use the Power Rangers Megazords, and it's fun. It's great. And watching the Turtles do their Morphin Time thing was pretty fun too. So all in all, that's just a really fun series. I'm glad I decided to jump into that one because I'm really enjoying it. from DC Black Label Hill House Comics. This is an imprint within an imprint. Plunge number 2. It's picking up. Like I said, for the first issue, it's going to be a slow burn series, and it definitely is a slow burn series. It does feel very cinematic, and I'm not sure if that's the plan, but it does. It feels very cinematic. I can see maybe not a theatrical release for it, but maybe something on like Netflix or Hulu or something like that, doing a full length feature based on this, because this is really good. We're getting into the mystery of what is going on with this derelict ship, basically what is going on in general with everything, I guess. And then they've added another layer with this series of numbers that are everywhere, which seems to be pi to 1,000 places. They're building on this island that these people are investigating that's near the derelict ship that they're also investigating, has some artifacts, some statues or pillars that depict these worms or whatever they are attacking people. So these things have been around for a while. It's just a matter of what the heck are they and where do we go from here. So if you're looking for a nice atmospheric slow burn horror story, this is definitely the one that you should get. And Stuart Immonen is knocking it out of the park, of course, with the art. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. He-Man and the Masters of the Multiverse number 5 of 6. We end up on anti-He-Man's version of Eternia. He finally succeeds in what he's going to do. He goes back, and we get to see the anti-Eternian versions of the Masters that we're used to. It's a great setup for the big final issue. I'm expecting and hoping for a nice battle between everybody. Looking forward to it. This has been a very, very fun series. Yeah. DC Unkillables number 2. I was happy to find out that they were doing this. I'm even happier to know that we've got another Deceased miniseries coming out, and Tom Tyler has way more stuff planned for this. This is Tom Taylor. I'm sorry, it's Tom Taylor. But this has been such a great. This has, to me, it makes me feel the way I did when I was reading Marvel Zombies for the first time. Just the overall feel of the excitement of, this is the one time that the heroes are not going to win, as well as who the heck is going to survive this. In this issue here, we lose more of the villains. We also find out why Shazam hasn't been around. We find out what happened to Shazam. We find out what happened to Billy Batson, where he's at, what he's been doing, and why he didn't leave with the other heroes. This one does take place. This issue takes place at the time that the remaining heroes, were taking the remaining humans off to Earth 2. So this is firmly implanted in the first issue was during the original miniseries. This is at the end of that miniseries, and the next issue we're breaking new ground as to what's going on Earth without the heroes and the remaining humans around. So, but this is really great. If you like the Marvel Zombies line from DC, and especially if you like the first Deceased miniseries, this is definitely one you need to get. It's high on my list of books that I really enjoy. So moving on, let's talk some Batman. Batman number 91, Harley Quinn joining forces with Batman and Catwoman. Awesome stuff. And Nightwing number 70. Now this is a hot book now. It's there was a rumor going around that Punchline is going to make an appearance in this. Well, I can tell you right now, Punchline does not make an appearance in this. The significance of this issue, aside from having a really sweet cover, is it's part of the lead into the Joker War storyline that's coming up, which is being built also in the Batman line. So if you're wanting to kind of get on the ground floor for Joker War, then you definitely want to get this book. Besides, like I said, it's got a sweet cover. They do kind of explain what's going on. Like, this is the first issue of Nightwing I believe I've ever bought. So going into this cold, having a basic idea of what's going on with Dick Grayson, something like he lost his memory, he thought he was somebody else. And here they kind of touch upon that for the people who are just jumping on it for this Joker War thing. So you're not completely left out in the cold. There is a scene with some other characters that make no sense to somebody like me who hasn't read the book, but if you're reading the series, it's going to make total sense. Joker showing up in Bloodhaven, trying to find Nightwing. It's great watching him do sort of like his version of hunting somebody down. So it was a lot of fun. I'm also really liking how in all these books, when the Joker is talking, he doesn't have a solid word balloon like everybody else does. It has sort of a like a shaky word balloon. Like there's something going on with his voice. Like he's always on the verge of laughing maniacally all the time, and I really like that. So, but this line of Batman has been really good. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with this Joker War story. I'm looking forward to finally seeing Punchline make her full-on debut and be a part of the story. I really am looking forward to also seeing her first interaction with Harley Quinn, a character that when I was reading this, I don't remember Harley being in the last issue. I'm sure she may have been, but I can't honestly remember because she's a character I'm so bored with right now. I don't even pay attention to her anymore. She's just so overused and just, I don't know, she's kind of a generic character at this point. So that's probably one reason why I'm really looking forward to Punchline showing up. So for my last couple of books, Middle West, this is issue 16. There's a lot of stuff going on in this series. Abel tries to get his group of friends out of this farm where him and his friends are being forced to do hard labor on. You've got Abel's friends from the carnival showing up to save him. You got a lot of these moving pieces, these essentially they're almost like storm fronts coming together and converging. And when they converge, and it's going to be in issue 17, when they come out and they come together, it's going to be a massive storm. And I'm wondering if Abel is going to be able to hold in his anger and keep his feelings in check so he doesn't hurt a lot of people. I know that's one of the things that he's worried about right now, but it's going to come a time where he's going to have to start learning how to control this so that he can protect the people that he cares about and get rid of the people that he doesn't. And then I have a feeling that his father's going to be showing up soon. If he shows up during all this, there's no telling who's going to die and who's going to survive on this series. But this has become a solid book. This is a very solid book. The art is also just, I mean, the art on the inside matches the art on the cover. It's a great series, great cover, great writing. I mean, there's really nothing negative that I can say about this book. It's just a lot of fun. It's definitely become one of my regular enjoyable series, which is unusual for a non-Marvel, non-DC book. I mean, it's happened before in my collection, but usually not to this extent, especially considering that that's not the only one, because there's also Something is Killing the Children, another great book. I think, unlike Middle West, unlike Middle West, there is something that I can say negative about this book, and it's something that's bothered me since the first issue, and that's that it's too short. I would really like it if these issues were maybe a page or two longer, because man, the build up and just the way that they're slowly building who these people are and what's going on in this world, it's amazing. It's been a lot of fun. I'm really glad that this turned out to not be a mini-series, that it's going to be an ongoing series. James Tynion is doing an amazing job on this book. The art, was this Werther Deladera? I'm probably butchering that, but the art on this book matches the story tone perfectly. I don't think this book would have been as good if anybody else had drawn it. I'm sure it'd still be a good story, but visually, the visuals on this are just amazing with this book. So with this one here, we're starting to learn a little bit more about who Erica Slaughter is and the people that she works for. Apparently there's some sort of an order that if I'm looking at there's one panel in here where there's a gentleman with one of these masks on that's sitting in this waiting area, and there's a painting on the wall behind him. And now if I'm looking at that painting right, these people have been around for a very long time fighting monsters on our planet for a very long time. And they do describe themselves as the Order of Slaughter, or the House of Slaughter. So it's not really a cult, but it's just sort of like an underground faction of people. And I've got the impression now that Erica is not part of it per se. She maybe at one time was a victim of a monster, and she was saved by one of these people and was sort of taken into the fold, because they do make a reference about adopting anybody else, taking anybody else in that's not part of the family, and I think that might be Erica. But this book is absolutely amazing. It's got some great covers, great art. The writing is spectacular. The pacing of it, it's not too fast, it's not too slow. I mean, it just keeps you. It grips you and it keeps you. And like I said, the only thing that bothers me is you get to that last page and you're like, oh crap, now I gotta wait another month. And but even though that is annoying, that's a very kind of a tongue-in-cheek complaint, of course. But this is arguably one of my favorite books that's on the market right now. Second only to this one here, that are not a Marvel or DC book. So those are all the books that I have. I also grabbed this. Jokingly, grabbed it. I get it every week. This is a comic shop news. Most comic shops get this as a free freebie that they give out. I grabbed it because, and I made the joke to Josh down at my comic shop that hey, is this the first cover appearance of Punchline, because she is on the cover of this, and I know people are all crazy about first this and first that, and even to the point now where stuff like these previews magazines that are coming out. If a character makes their first appearance in there, then that's the first appearance. Or like last week's Thor facsimile edition that came out, it was reprinting an advertisement that Wolverine was in before he made his first appearance. It's getting a little ridiculous, so I got this one just as tongue in cheek, but I do like this cover, and it's kind of cool to have a larger version of that picture from Art Germ, because I love it, and I do have that book on order, that specific cover, because I do like the cover, and I am enjoying this character. So that said, that's all the books that I've got. So I'll be slapping them up on the wall, and I'll be taking the picture. It'll be a link to my Instagram page down below. You can click on that and take a look at the wall. Of course, not all these books are going to fit on the wall, so I got to make a decision of which ones are going to and which ones aren't. Again, with everything that's going on, we do need these moments, right? We do need these moments where we can take a moment and just step out of the mainstream, step out of reality a little bit, escape into our comic books. We've got trade paperbacks, we've got graphic novels, we've got hardcovers, we've got Disney Plus, so we can enjoy our favorite Marvel characters on there. So I think it's important that in a moment like this, it is important to take these times to take a step back, escape into fantasy for a few moments, so that you can come back and sort of with a new perspective on things. It's a good idea to put your phone down, stop checking the news, stop checking Facebook, your Twitter feed, because you're going to be inundated with information about all this stuff going on, and a lot of it is not good. It's people, the number of people that we're losing to this. It's the number of infected around the world. It's governments cracking down on people, and I think when you see nothing but that, it does kind of start to affect you. You start to think differently, and that's something that we, as comic book fans, need to not do. So what I'm going to start doing is time preventing, because I do have a little boy, but what I want to start doing is for half hour to an hour every day, read a comic book, read a graphic novel, take a break, turn my phone off so I don't have to deal with it, dealing with the notifications that I've been getting. Take a break from it. That's a good idea. Also, with what's going on in respect to your local comic shops, a lot of them, mine included, are offering curbside service, are offering delivery. So if you are uncomfortable going to your local comic shop and you would like to make other arrangements, the best thing to do is don't just not call, because your books are still there. They're still going to hold your books for you. Call them. Email them. If you have a relationship with anybody that works at the store where you have their phone numbers, text them, call them, set up arrangements. If they offer delivery, see if they can deliver to you. See if they'll send it to you through the mail. See if you can just drive up and you can they'll bring your books out to you. You can call. You can get the total dollar amount for the books that you have each week, and you can pay for it over the phone with a credit or debit card, and that way you just pull up, get your books, and leave. Or however, the best thing to do right now, especially in terms of handling your new comics, is to communicate with your local comic shop. Find out what services that they're offering, because they're still, everybody understands. People understand. I was talking to Tim, the owner of my local comic shop, and they do understand that people are going to be out of work, and they're not going to be getting a paycheck for a while. But if you communicate with them and let them know, hey, this is my situation right now, chances are they're going to be cool with it, and they're going to say, okay, well, we'll hold your books for you. When you're ready, they'll be there for you. Or, okay, well, we'll take the payment over the phone. Let us know when you're going to be here. Give us a call when you're out front. will bring your books out to you, or you will figure out shipping and we'll ship them to you. There are things to do, so you can still get your books. You can still support your local comic shop, because this is a time in history where they're going to need our help more than anything. They're going to need our support, especially now with the news that Free Comic Book Day has been postponed till later in the summer. That is one of the biggest days for local comic shops across the country to bring in new people and make, kind of make some money for themselves. So without that, they're going to need our help more than ever. So communicate with your local comic shop. Figure out best ways to get your books. If you can't get your books right away, it's okay. Most of them are going to be cool. I would hope that all of them would be cool, because this is a situation that none of us have any control over. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and set up my wall. I hope everybody out there is taking care of themselves, and also take care of the people around you. That's very, very important. If you are in a position where you've got elderly people, parents, grandparents, contact them every day. Contact them a couple of times a day. If they need something, offer to go out and get it. And if you're concerned that you may have this and you don't want to make your parents or grandparents ill, that's simple. Tell them, okay, I'll go get this stuff for you. I'll leave it on your front steps or on your back porch or whatever. Knock on the door, and then you just walk away. If you're 6 feet away, chances are they're going to be safe. You can still see them. You won't be able to hug them, which might hurt a lot of people, which is totally understandable. But take care of your parents, take care of your grandparents, take care of the people around you. This is a time where, even though we're supposed to be further apart from each other, we do need to come together, and we need to support each other. Support your local comic shops. I'm always going to come back to that because that's important. But family and comic shops are the ones that we need to support the most. So, again, I'm also planning on things to do with my channel, and I'm looking at the time right now, and I do know that I do see that it's getting to be a pretty long video, so I'm going to wrap this up. But I do have I am making arrangements for what I can do to continue making videos if we start getting fewer and fewer new comics. I know Vault and a few other publishers have said that they're gonna not send out books until end of May, or end of April into May. So there are some publishers that are already starting to put a halt to these things. But I do have a lot of books that I can talk about, and hope that while I'm talking about these books, some of you folks out there who watch these videos who have your own YouTube channels are going to start doing the same thing. I know some of us do like to show our comic book room and like to talk about older books, and those are the ones that I'm going to be really looking forward to seeing. I like to see what's in other people's collections. So that said, everybody, be safe, be smart, don't get paranoid, don't lose your mind over this. Keep a good head on your shoulders. Think logically about what you're going to do, what you're planning. Make sure that those around you are safe, and just take care of yourselves. And barring any major disasters in my area, I will be here next Thursday, either with new comics or going through some of my older books, and I'll just be replacing the books on my wall with books from my collection, because I got plenty of them. So, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next week.